Alright guys, this is going to be my Proto bolt maintenance video. There's been a few people I find who have been complaining about some sort of leaking on the gun outside the back side of the bolt here, so in the back, and there's actually been a couple guys at the field that have the same problem that I used to have. Just a forewarning, my bolt does actually have some bad machining on it. I might send it back to dye. It doesn't seem to be affecting it that much. Anyways, let's go ahead and take the bolt out. This is the easiest way to do it. You just turn the bolt a couple times and then stick your finger in the breech and you can pop out the bolt, the entire bolt assembly. Alright, so you have your bolt. Where most people complain or they think they need to replace the O-rings is right here on these two. The problem is actually coming from in here, and it's a improper lubing in the internals. The internals are much more important than the externals for lube. So let's go ahead and take this O-ring off. Wow. Alright, so we got that O-ring off. Let's screw the can here. Put that down. So I've already cleaned this, but basically the problem seems to be on this O-ring right in here. That is a very important O-ring. You will get lots of leaking if, or your feet per second will not be able to get above about 250 because it'll be so dry. These O-rings are very important, and then just lubing this, which comes into contact with this inner O-ring, is important. So the problem with my bolt is, I don't know if you can see that, but there's kind of a shiny mark right here. Basically, yeah I know, shitty camera. There is a high spot right about here, and then it's about a low spot here, so the machining was, I don't know how to explain it. It just wasn't very good. There's a bit of a, you can even feel here, it's a bit of a transition from an upper level to an even lower, to a lower level. Not much I can do about that except for sending it back to dye, but I did get one of the first in Canada, so there'll be a few problems. Sorry about that. So let's start with the lube here. This inner O-ring on the inside is also important. You want to lube that quite a bit. And other than that, the outer O-rings don't need that much lube. I've seen people with way too much lube on the outer O-rings, and it's just clogging up the assembly. So here's some dye slick lube. So we're gonna do the internals first. Let's do this tail part. So I'm just gonna put a bit of lube on my finger, and then I'm just gonna take it. I'm just gonna rub it on this tail part. Now you don't have to really be too conservative with the lube. This won't actually get inside the breech of your gun if you get a bunch of lube on here. It's not in the front half. I don't know how to explain it. So you get a bunch of lube on there, a bunch of lube on here. People are going to complain. They're going to say this is way too much lube, but this is what works for my gun because the machining is not of the best quality. So I put a little bit of lube on here, and then we're going to grab the back piece of the bolt. And literally like that much lube is what I need. So we're going to grab the back piece here, and we're just going to put as much lube as we can on that inner O-ring. Now what you want to do, with mine at least, is you want to get this as smooth as possible. That's why you're not getting, if you're noticing a leak or something, it's very rough. It's just dry, in short explanation. Also, what was I going to say? Can't remember now. Short-term memory loss. You want to lube the inside of this can, the front can. This O-ring again should have quite a bit of lube, and just lube the inside of this. The rest you have on your finger. You can put more in there. put a bit more lube on the inside here. Ah yes, I remember now what I was going to say. You want to make sure when you're putting the bolt assembly back together that this assembly, this back piece, feels smooth. If it doesn't feel smooth, your bolt's going to be... It's just not going to move very freely, and you're going to get really low feet per second, and or you're going to get leaking. My gun's kind of broken in, the O-rings are kind of breaking in, so it's not as bad, but still is not very smooth. I'm going to put a bit more lube on the back O-ring there. And you can also put it on this part right here. I find this is really easy if you want to just get it all over the O-ring. This is like way too much lube for a regular rail. I have seen a guy's rail at the field, the same one, 2011, and I helped him fix this problem, and his bolt was super smooth. There was no machining problems, so this is just a rare occurrence, I guess. Anyways, so once you've done all this, you don't want a ton of lube on this. That kind of clean. You can start putting the bolt back together. Again, you want to make sure this can is fairly smooth. So anything that's going to be rubbing up against another, any metal that's going to be rubbing up against the O-ring needs to be smooth. If it's not smooth, your gun's going to be shooting fairly, well, fairly crappy, put it at the least. Actually, sorry, I said you shouldn't put any lube on there, but you can. So that's fairly smooth now. And let's put this back together. Sorry, I don't have a camera mount, so that's why it's kind of difficult to keep everything in the focus of the camera. And then any other lube you have on the outside here, you just need a tiny bit of lube on these outside O-rings. Don't need a bunch, especially these back ones, because people are just replacing these back ones because they're getting leaks, and that's what they think the problem is. Although that's really not going to fix your problem. So a bit more lube. Okay. Anyways, once we got enough lube on that, put this last front O-ring on and put a bit of lube on it. What the hell? It's a giant hair. And I just got a haircut, of course.